Hey YouTube, tomorrow is the season turnover, and with that, I'm going to put out a bunch of new teams that you can use for the Great League with the new rankings. And I don't want to make it a like an hour-long video, so what we're going to do is we are going to go deep dive into the rankings today and explain why some stuff has risen, why other stuff has fallen, why stuff is pretty much the same. And so we'll do that deep dive today, so that tomorrow we're going to just focus on the teams. So we already saw sort of bootleg copy from Marco a week ago, and he got some of it right. But again, not surprising, the order has changed a bit. Like Golisopod was number 1 ranked on his, and it's number 6 here. But overall, like a lot of the stuff that he projected to go up did go up. Forretress, Golisopod, Samurott, Gligar, all in the top 10 here. So correctly getting the sims right on that. There's some that did not move. So what we're going to do is we'll just probably go through the top 100. I'll kind of go over, some will go over fast, like Clodsire. I'm going to go over fast in a second here, but we'll kind of go through as many Pokemon as we can here in the top 100, explaining like why they're ranked the way they are. So Clodsire is still number 1. I think Clodsire just got slightly stronger because Bug got all this buff. A lot of Pokemon got poison. And right there between those two, double resisting poison and single resisting bug. So right off the bat, all these things that got buffed, you resist, and you still have your coverage with Sludge Bomb, Earthquake. You still have your bulk. So you have everything that made Clodsire great to begin with. Now more of the meta, as you saw in the top 5 to 10 here, is going to be Bug, right? Forretress, Golisopod. Yes, I'm aware Golisopod has Aqua Jet, and this has Earthquake. But, you know, for the most part, you are resisting all these other fast moves that are here. Fury Cutter is the main move on Gligar and Samurott now. So you're just resisting a ton of things with the poison while still having your poison to deal with everything. Like just the spamminess, the bulk, and the Earthquake for coverage just is going to make it a strong Pokemon. Okay. Number 2, Forretress. And for this, we need to, because a couple bug moves got buffed. Bug Bite and Fury Cutter being the 2 of them. And that boosted these Pokemon into the top 10. So what we need to do is go to fast move. You can see it right here, Bug Bite 4 and 3, and it's a 1-turn move. So being a 1-turn move is important. When you go to the damage per turn, 4 and 3 is on par with a lot of things, right? So it is on par with Counter, Dragon Breath, Fire Fang, Gust, Ice Fang. So when you look at those moves in themselves, they're not great moves, right? In fact, the Counter nerf to 4 and 3 like pretty much made 90% of the fighters irrelevant with Counter. So to have a Bug Bite with 4 and 3 in itself is not anything sort of groundbreaking, right? You have better Astonish 4 and 3.33 here, Force Palm, Dragon. Like there's a lot of just better moves in terms of the energy and damage, but it benefits from a couple things. One, it's a 1-turn move, and 1-turn moves are obviously easier for your timing of your fast move, catching their moves, catching on them. So the 1-turn move always gives you some strength. So there is just that. And now that allows Forretress to do a couple things here. So Forretress is one of those Pokemon where like the stats itself are great. Low attack, high defense and stamina, great combo there. Typing, you have Bug, Steel typing, and Steel, as we know, resists so many things in this meta. So combine Bug and Steel, you have 9 resistances. Double resisting poison and grass, and single resisting steel, psychic, normal, ice, fairy, dragon, and bug. So in of itself, typing is great. Double weak to fire. Again, not a ton of fire. That may change the season with so many bugs being buffed. But also weak to 4 of the typings, fighting, flying, ground, and rock. There is obviously a lot of ground in this meta. A couple of fighters. And maybe now with Gligar, maybe like 1 or 2 more flyers. But the typing overall, tons of resistances. So nice stat product. And now you have 2 charge moves here in, Rock Tomb and Earthquake. Now Rock Tomb, everyone was calling for a nerf to Rock Tomb because you would just have a move that is only 50 energy. The 80 damage in itself is not amazing, 1.6, but guaranteed to lower your opponent's attack. And what people had a problem with was, you know, a move can have a 100% chance of lowering your opponent's attack, but it should not be doing 80. Like if it even at a 50 energy move, this needs to be somewhere at like 70 damage. So having the 80 damage, and this is non-stab, right? Because this is a bug in steel Pokemon. So when you get stab on this thing too, and you're up at like 92 and almost like 1.8 something damage per energy, it's a really hard-hitting move. Now, non-stab on this Pokemon, but the Bug Bite because it is bug, does get stabbed. So your damage per turn is up there at 4.8. So that's a pretty hard hitting stab damage move. So you still could just go Bug Bite and then Rock Tomb to lower their attack and do some good damage, and then just with your bulk and the Bug Bite just kind of combo that. Or also has an Earthquake, mostly for coverage. Now the move counts themselves are pretty slow in my opinion, right? 17 and 22, like a Zoom Roll, which feels slow and clunky. Ice Beam is 15 and Play Rough is 18 the first one, and then it's only 15 the second one. So to go 17, 17, 16 on your Rock Tombs and straight 22 and 21 there on your Earthquake means it's pretty slow in the charge. Now it does have a lot of fast move pressure with Bug Bite, so my guess is you will probably play this Pokemon a lot just straight Bug Bite, straight Rock Tomb. Truly only throwing Earthquake if like Rock Tomb's resisted and you have like one charge move left to throw, then you probably throw that Earthquake. So Forretress should be an interesting one. Lots of resistances, fast move pressure with some good bulk. So we'll see how it plays. Corviknight jumps from 3 to 6. No buff on this, but again, it was already kind of coming in to deal with all your fairies like Tinkatong that got buffed. And now, again, a lot of Pokemon getting poison and a lot of Pokemon bug buffed. And as a flying steel, you double resist poison and you double resist bug. So, again, don't need to talk much about this one. Has the bulk moveset. I'm still not sold on these charge moves. Sky Attack's okay at 14 for a 102 damage move. Iron Head, not great. Sand Attack does not put on much damage pressure at all, especially non-stab. But you're just getting by on like an okay stat product and your insane amount of typings there. So Corviknight's going to be carried by its typings. Dusclops, and Corsola, they were already very meta Pokemon in the previous season. You should see less Darks now because so many Pokemon, Dark is weak to Bug. And now with so many Bug type fast moves in the top, right? Bug Bite on Forretress, Fury Cutter on Golisopod, Fury Cutter on Gligar, Fury Cutter on Samurott. When you have so many Bug type Pokemon in the top 10, that's going to lower Dark, and Dark was one of the hardest answers to these ghosts. So on top of being one of the hardest answers to the ghosts and all the Dark is out here, you also single resist Bug here. So, you have the bulk on Dusclops and Corsola. You got just spammy moves overall. You got the Astonish hard hitting move, and Nightshade's good move, and the super spam on Dusclops. Well, less Darks and the resistance of the Bug, you should see a healthy dose of ghosts in this meta. So I'll just bring up all the ghosts. This is why I'll kind of just gloss over these Jellicent and Dusknoir as well, because that is the exact same reason that these two Dusknoir maybe have gone down a bit. I forget where it was ranked last season, but Jellicent is definitely up, and that is, again, the product of Poison got buffed and Bug got buffed, so Jellicent is up there. So I'll kind of skip over these ghosts because it is the same thing. Less Darks, more Bugs, ghosts benefits. Golisopod. So the other fast move that got buffed is Fury Cutter. So Fury Cutter, look at this. This will probably get stabbed. So it's a 3/4. So this is the 4 damage, 3 energy. On the other end, you're going to have your Fury Cutter, which is 4 energy and 3 damage. So same as Psywave and Shadow Claw, right? So you have the same damage and energy combo as Shadow Claw and Psywave, but Fury Cutter, like Psywave, is a 1-turn move. So Fury Cutter is a Psywave clone. So you have Psywave, which is already one of the best moves in the game, especially as a 1-turn move. Now on a Golisopod with stab up to 3.6. So you got great energy damage combo. Getting to these moves, Aqua Jet and X Scizor. None are sort of nukes, but you're just going to rely on your spam. It'll probably play similar-ish to the non-Shadow Malamar, right? Because the Shadow Malamar last season played differently, where the Psywave plus the superpower, you could potentially just like combo that and take Pokemon out. I still think with this combo here, you're probably going to need to throw multiple moves, especially that X Scizor is only 78 damage and Aqua Jet is 84, and that's with stab. But them coming at 10 is fantastic. Obviously, the stat product is nothing fancy. A mid-range attacker, 125. Super low on the stamina, so you could take like some charge moves, but you're going to get down there pretty quickly. And the typing, Bug typing itself is bad, but why it is probably one of the higher ranked one, and it's going to be the exact same thing with Samurott, is because the water typing, one of the best typings in this meta. So resisting water, steel, ice, ground, fighting, and when we know the meta for the last few seasons has been water, ground, fighting, resisting those three is a huge. So I expect a healthy dose of Golisopod, weak to flying, electric, flying, rock, fire, and grass. Although no, that's neutral grass. I don't know why grass. You can see it's even ×1 here. It's not weak to grass. It neutralizes it because bug resists grass and water is weak to grass. So you're actually neutral to grass and you hit super effective against grass. So you're very good against grass, especially with the bug fast move. Yeah, so electric is going to be one. Flying will be the tougher one because flying will also resist the bug. So flyers are going to be your biggest issue here. Jumpluff, you're half flying, so you will neutralize the bug. So you're, again, I don't know why it's here. And same with electric. These are neutralized. I guess PVPOKE is doing that now. It's kind of weird. I don't know why they're doing this. Yes, there's a weakness to bug in grass, and yes, there's a weakness to electric and flying, but you neutralize those weaknesses with the other typing. So it's net even. So I don't know why they're showing that. But again, it's the same, right? You're still running the double flying move. If anything, you're maybe down in the rankings, but you have 2 flying moves and there's a lot more bug, which you hit super effective against. So you got that same coverage of last season, just with more bugs. Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to just skip to Samurott because Samurott is basically what I just kind of mentioned in Golisopod in terms of the typing. Stat products is actually quite the same too, maybe even a little glassier. Slightly a little more attack, slightly glassier, but basically same stat product, same. Oh, it's not a bug. Sorry, it's not a bug. I keep thinking it's a bug because it always has the same. It always had Mega Horn as a move, and Fury Cutter was used at times. So I was like, oh yeah, it's a bug, but no, it's just pure water. So pure water in itself, again, lowers your weaknesses. You'll just have 2 grass and electric, and then the water will resist 4 things, which is huge, right? So the typing itself is good. And of course, now you have a hard hitting non-stab, but faster, good damage move, 1 turn, and you're getting 2 hydro cannons in 10. So again, think old school Swamperts, just getting to those hydros in 10s. So 96 damage with a fast move that does way more than what Mudshot used to do. So that's why Samurott is up there. Gligar is, if you didn't play, I guess 3 or 4 seasons ago, you don't know how strong Gligar was. Because Gligar was the flying type Pokemon that was able to, it was Jumpluff before Jumpluff really jumped up the rankings. Because you had your secondary typing, which helped offset some of your weaknesses. So, you know, as a flying type Pokemon, you would be weak to electric, but your ground typing resists that. So you kind of offset some of your weaknesses there. You do pick up others, but you offset, like you pick up water here, but it does offset some of those weaknesses. But what made Gligar so strong in the past was you had the Aerial Ace that would do well against like your bugs and your grass type Pokemon and whatever. But then you also had that Dig, which gave you that steel and rock coverage that Aerial Ace would suck at. So Gligar with that fast move, non-stab on this one because it is ground flying, but with a hard hitting Fury Cutter and the energy per turn with the Aerial Ace and then the coverage for Dig, and getting to Dig, which is a 100 damage move with stab at only 13 and 12, is a very, very, very fast pacing. So yeah, we'll see some more Gligars. Talked about Jellicent. Mandibuzz, again, there's gonna be a lot of ghosts. I already talked about with darks like Malamar being put into probably, I don't even know where it's ranked. We'll see that soon. But Mandibuzz is your flying dark Pokemon that has the bulk, doesn't hit hard, but does have the flying for the bug. And it neutralizes the bug weakness, the dark weakness with the flying type. So you do have 4 weaknesses here: electric, fairy, ice, and rock. Again, fighting and bug, you neutralize those 2. And then resisting the psychic, ground, double resisting those, and then grass, ghost, dark. So lots of typing resistances that are nice. Great bulk, low attack, high defense stamina, with more bug Pokemon. So up there. And then there's some Pokemon I'm just going to kind of gloss over. Diggersby, Lapras, and Steelix as well. Again, Steelix with the steel typing helps. Lapras still has the Psy Wave. which is still Psywave Sparkling Aria with your stat product is still fantastic. And Diggersby with your quick attack. Fire Punch. Fire is super effective against Bug. And Scorching Sand. So these Pokemon have the bulk, have good fast moves, have good charge moves. So they're not going to change at all. Metang Shadow at 15. And again, a Fury Cutter. So we're starting to see a pattern here. Another Fury Cutter user. Psyshock. Oh, I was like, why is Psyshock so much damage? Because it's not only stab, but it's stab plus shadow. So you get like double bonuses on top. So no, Psyshock in itself is not that amazing. It's a good move, but not amazing. But adding stab and adding shadow on top of that for 100 damage here is a very nice move, especially at a pace of 10. I don't love the second move. I mentioned this even when we looked over the sort of not fake rankings because they were pretty accurate, but the bootleg rankings. Gyro Ball, 15 to get to is not bad. I guess 115 damage in itself is not bad, but again, this is with stab and with shadow bonus, only getting to 1.92 damage per energy for a 60 energy move, which is not amazing considering you add on stab and a shadow bonus on top of that. So Gyro Ball is just not a good move in itself. Stat product, again, pretty good in itself, 108, 145, 129, but you're going to buff that attack up probably to like 120 something and lower that defense down to like 120. So it's more of like just a 120-ish down the board type stat if you're going to use the shadow. But again, getting it by on its typings a lot here. Double resisting Psychic, Poison, and single resisting Steel, Rock, Normal, Ice, Grass, Flying, Fairy, Dragon. Whenever you get that Steel typing, it does give you a big advantage. Does have 4 weaknesses: Ground, Fire, Ghost, and Dark. That's Psychic typing. I don't like Psychic typing in itself. I've kind of clowned on Grumpig and Claydol a lot for their Psychic typings just because it does leave you very vulnerable against a lot of typings. Maybe less Darks again because of all the bug. So we'll have to see how the meta shifts. Carbink. So now we're going to get into a lot of Pokemon here. I'll kind of gloss over a few of these Pokemon. Carbink, Stunfisk, Bastiodon. Feraligator's down a bit here, but Gastrodon. These were all Pokemon that were pretty highly ranked in the previous seasons. So they're slightly down just because of how much these bugs have been buffed up. I still think you're going to see a heavy dose of this. The thing with Carbink and Bastiodon now is Bug is weak to Rock. So if you have a lot more Bug Pokemon, you're going to have and Bug also resists Ground. So if you have a lot more Bug Pokemon and potentially scare off the ground with all the Bug, and at the same time you might get other typings in there trying to deal with these Bug Pokemon like Fire, Rock could come back up. So I'll be interested to see if we have more, call it gross Carbink, Bastiodon type teams, hard Rock Throw Smackdown users to deal with all these bugs. Don't be surprised if you see that, especially with some decrease in ground, right? Gligar is up there, but Gligar will just still take neutral to Rock because it is half flying. And a lot of your pure ground Pokemon, Stunfisk is there as the electric ground, but it seems like a lot of these other ground Pokemon have really been lowered here. Right? So, yeah, you still have your Diggersby and Clodsire. Yeah, don't get me wrong. You still have Diggersby and Clodsire, but your Golurk and Marowak is down to 48, 49. Claydol down to 62. So some of those ground-type Pokemon that were in like the top 20, 30 before are down a bit. So maybe a little less ground, maybe a little more rock. We'll have to see how that plays out in terms of what people actually use. Araquanid, again, Bug Bite got buff. So this, again, let's just finish this Pokemon and I'll get my thoughts on the sort of the meta as a little break point here. You have Bug Bite. You have the stats, which were always great. Super high defense Pokemon. You now have Bug Bite, which was used in the past. Now just getting that stab, increased damage, huge damage here. Slow on the charge again. You either have like a bait of a Bubble Beam that lowers their attack. So maybe you just want to outbulk, fast move damage, lower their attack here with Bubble Beam. You can also just run two sort of, I was going to call them nukes. They're not nukes, but Water Pulse and Bug Buzz, two hard-hitting moves. The recommended, I'm guessing, is Bubble Beam. Yeah, is Bubble Beam at 14 because you kind of want a lower move. And then again, that Water Bug typing, I talked about the Water Bug typing on Golisopod and why it is so strong. So Yes, you'll see that. And again, this is where you already in the 23 range, you need to start thinking about the meta, right? So how many bug Pokemon have we seen in the top 23 so far? All with bug fast moves. I won't count the doubles. Sorry. I put in bug fast. I put in bug, but this is just showing the bugs in Forretress, Golisopod, and Araquanid. But it wasn't just those Pokemon, right? You also had Gligar with the Fury Cutter and Samurott as the water with the Fury Cutter. So there's a lot of Pokemon with just bug fast moves, pressure. And so Fury Cutter, Bug Bite are both going to provide some pressure in the fast move department on bugs. So now you just may see more answers to bugs, especially if people are like, oh, everyone's going to be using bugs. Time to start putting some fast move pressure on, like to put some pressure on that bug. And you do that by either Pokemon that hit super effective against it, like your rocks and your fires and stuff like that, or you do stuff that resist bug and force them to just have resisted moves, and those are like your ghost type Pokemon that will resist bug. Togedemaru and Dedenne got parabolic charge buff, and Dedenne I've never liked. Sorry, Ryan Swag. Its stats are just like okay, and for an electric Pokemon, which electric are generally glacier, you want your Morpekos and you want your Togedemarus that can just like nuke, right? But it's actually sitting just at like 124 attack, so you got like a lower defense and okay stamina with a medium-ish attack. Thundershock did get buffed in previous seasons, so now you're getting to these parabolic charges. And what's the other one? Play rough, I'm guessing? Yeah, for coverage. Yeah. You're getting to these parabolic charges in 10. And doing so, you get a almost 2 damage per energy move, so 84. 84 will not one-shot anything. Maybe super effective or double super effective, but even then it's depending on the size of the Pokemon, maybe not. But it buffs your defense 100% chance. So a glassy Pokemon buffing your defense, get 1 off, maybe kind of 2 shield this thing now, and just start spamming and buffing your attack. Parabolic charge, plus then you have like play rough coverage. Again, I still don't love the charge moves on this thing, but definitely an improvement. Someone says Togedemaru now. Yes, I still think that, I mean, I loved using Togedemaru, and it's up here because it is steel electric, and that typing gets you pretty far in the meta. Again, if we think less ground because of all the bugs, then suddenly, and maybe less fighters because bug resist fighting too, then maybe you have less weaknesses and you resist so many things: double resisting steel, poison, and flying, and then single resisting rock, psychic, normal, ice, grass, fairy, electric, dragon, and bug. So you're typing, putting up a ton of resistances here. Having that stab, wild charge, nuke, 120 damage for only 45 energy, 2.67. Potentially a Pokemon that you can just kind of run with. And you know what? Like maybe you'll see less Morpekos if you're so worried about grass fast moves and Morpekos are dark. Maybe Togedemaru and Dedenne are the ones who come up, because Dedenne, I didn't even mention it, also resists bug because it is fairy, and fairy resists bug. So that is why it also gets a buff up. Again, I'll kind of just ignore some of these Pokemon. They should play more or less the same. Gastrodon, Toxapex, Weezing, Annihilate. Azumarill is down a bit, but not even a ton because it is half fairy, half water, so you still resist bug on the fairy. Even more poisons though, so maybe 1 or 2 more electric, so a little scarier there, but overall should play pretty much the same. Sableye neutralizes it with the Ghost Dark, so it neutralizes the bug, so you only have the fairy weakness here at the 1.6 here. So most of these Pokemon will play pretty the same. I don't think the amount of bugs that are in it, they change it too much for them. But outside of that, yeah, not too much to talk about there. And then there is your Scizor with Bullet Punch. Shadow Scizor must be Shadow, 100% agree on that. Bullet Punch got buffed, and now with Stab and with Shadow, 5.76 damage per turn. And yes, you must run it with the quickest moves you have here. Is it X Scizor here? Or Trailblaze buff for your attack? Okay. Makes sense. Night Slash, because it's the quickest move, you need something that you can just spam at 10s. And Trailblaze, because Trailblaze boosts your attack, and you now are relying on that Bullet Punch. 5.76 damage per turn. Insane amount of damage. Again, it looks weird here, but you only have 1 weakness, and that is double weak to fire. Everything else is neutralized here. with putting up a ton of resistances, double resisting poison and grass, and single resisting steel, psychic, normal, ice, fairy, dragon, and bug. Nice typing. Stat product, not amazing, but this is why I use the shadow. 137 attack, 20% damage bonus on top of that. You're hitting around like 160 something with the damage, and a 5.76 damage per turn move with a buffed bullet punch. This thing is going to put on a lot of fast move pressure, but you best believe you need to 2-shield this thing. So we'll see how it works out overall. But as a steel bug, that's going to do well against all these other bug Pokemon, and then just put a lot of pressure with the bullet punches on. I'm actually excited to use this one because I always have fun using Shadow Scizor when I use it. Credilli, Emolga, there's your Morpeko again, down but not huge. Pangoro, so the fighters dropped, right? Primeape is at 40 here. We saw Annihilate up at 34 and Machoke at 43 and Pangoro at 45. So there's still a place for fighters in this meta, but if you assume less darks, which you resist, and you assume more bug, which resist your fighting, you know, all of them have to take a little bit of a net nerf, which is why they have all kind of gone down, but there's definitely still a place for the fighters in this meta. There's your couple grounds at Golurk and Marowak. I kind of already went over those, why they are down a bit. Do I like it? Might as well just use your I'm blanking on the name here. Samurott. Might as well just use your Samurott, unless you want to just run like these both as sort of like a fun meme team, but just use Samurott. And this is where you're going to start seeing all the falls of the other Pokemon, like Grumpig as a Psychic Pokemon, weak to Bug, Dark, and Ghost. Possibly more Ghost because of all the Bug, more Bug because of the Bug. Resisting Psychic and Fighting, less Fighting because of the Bug, less Psychic because of the Bug. So still has everything else going for it with this typing, with the moveset here. But just the way the meta may shape up, it's going to go down a bit. Dragalge at 58. That's kind of interesting. What? Oh, Acid now. Okay. I was like, why is Dragalge at 58? Dragalge is at 58 because it has Acid now, and Acid did get buffed. I will actually just, before we go down, highlight Marowak did not get buffed, but it is at 55 because all the bugs, and your bug is weak to fire. So potentially, and Dark's gone, and Dark is one of your weaknesses, right? As a ghost. So not gone, but less Dark. So potentially more play for your Marowak at 55 here, but Acid. Acid is a new move 4 and 3.6 that will get stabbed. So Acid will be right here with your Fury Cutter and Psywave and Shadow Claw. So if you want to call it a clone of anything, it'll be a clone of Shadow Claw because it is a 2-turn move. So now you have an Acid 2-turn move like a Shadow Claw, and you have Aqua Tail coming at 10. So 2 and 5 is 10 here. Aqua Tail is not a good move though, and it's a non-stab because you are Dragon Poison. So it's a really bad move. You're probably going to have to land some Outrages. I think this is probably overranked a bit. Like, typing in itself is probably pretty good. Double resisting grass, single resisting water, poison, fire, fighting, electric, and bug. So I think that's pretty good, especially if you expect less ground and psychic. But I think this thing's going to be bait dependent a lot, probably baiting that Aqua Tail at 10 and 8. And it's not the same bait when we used to bait it on Quagsire, because that at least got stab. And if you use the shadow, the stab plus the shadow really helps out here. So a 35 for 55 is a pretty bad move overall. You're probably going to want to land some Outrages at 132. But maybe you can just... Outrage is only 16 and 14. So that is actually pretty quick. It's I call it the medium range of charge moves. Like the fast is like your 8, 10, and 12. And then when you're at your 14, 16, that's your medium range. So it's not too bad, but it's not as slow as like your 18 and 20s, like your Sludge Waves on Toxapex. So I think it will have some play, but I think it may be a little overranked because of that. Fred is down to 59. Again, I don't... Bug... Someone said that like, oh, because Bug resists Darks. Like, no, it doesn't. And if you think your fighters are going to be less because of all... You're only weak to one thing, that's fighting. And if there's going to be more ghosts and you resist ghosts, that seems like this should probably be higher because there should be less fighters and more ghosts. And Sucker Punch is still neutral on Bug, but you may have less psychic, so that in itself may lower it because then you're not hitting super effective against that. So I don't know. I still think Ferret's going to have a lot of play. There's your Claydol again as the Psychic gets dropped. Bronzong with your Metal Sound. So Metal Sound got a buff. Now charging at 3 and 4 here. So it was a very, very, very bad move. But now they're saying it's going to be a 2.5, 4. So still on a Powder Snow Quick Attack Vine Whip. Like stats and a 2-turn move at that. So they're basically just mirrors of that, but you'll get to your moves pretty quick and with a little more damage. So you got your Psyshock, Stab, Psyshock, 40 for 84. And what was Heavy Slam is the next one, or a better move? Payback. Okay, that makes sense. There's no real point to go Heavy Slam, in my opinion, especially with a 50-turn move. And I would also go for the Nuke in Payback. Mostly because Heavy Slam is 10 more energy for the same damage as Psyshock. So 95% of the time, unless Psyshock is resisted, you're going to be throwing the Psyshock. So you might as well just go for the Nuke. Now, the only problem is, what's one thing that will resist Psyshock as a Psychic move, and that is Dark. So if you go with a second move and that is Dark, you're really going to limit yourself against Dark type Pokemon. So just keep that in mind. But 111, 151, and 119, really high defense at one there. And again, having that Steel typing just picks up a ton of resistances in this meta. So Steels, this should not be surprising. Steels, Bugs, all got the buff. Again, I'm surprised we're not seeing as many Fires with all the Bug buffs and all the Steel buffs and less potential Ground because of the Bugs. You're not seeing as many Fires as I thought, but Ground still has some play. Wormadam trash up to 66 with that Bug Bite. Same thing. Low attack, high defense, and stamina. Bug Bite got that buff. You got your Steel Bug typing. But again, double weak to Fire. I feel like Fire is going to have a lot of play in this meta. But you always are limited with your charge move. So Bug Bite, yes, it's going to put on a lot of fast move pressure. But why it's lower is you got your Bug Buzz, which is a nice move in itself, but still 20 turns to get to. And then Iron Head, not great for 17 turns to get to. So I think the charge moves are kind of limiting Wormadam trash, but Bug Bite is an improvement here. There's your Malamar down to 68 because of all the weaknesses that you just pick up in the Bug. You're double weak to Bugs, and with so many things with Bug fast move, yeah, you're going to have some problems there. Galarian Moltres now with the Fly and Brave Bird. It's still one of those Pokemon where your charge moves are still limited, because if you get into like a Steel or a Rock, both of those charge moves are resisted, which is kind of like Ancient Power didn't do much either. So having Fly, which is slightly better, slightly less energy than Brave Bird. Obviously, Brave Bird is better damage per energy. But if you don't want to lower your defense times 3, throwing straight Fly with the Stab Sucker Punch is a pretty solid combo. So I think Moltres is probably one of your top flyers. Tinkaton, oh, that's Tinkaton. Tinkaton's higher up. That's fine. Melmetal got the double Iron Bash buff. So let's just look at what this move looks like with Stab. 30 for 66. Still not amazing, but, holy spam. Straight 8s across the board here. And then you have a superpower at 10 and 8. So this could play... this will be a very, very spamming Pokemon. Stats are just sort of not bad. There's kind of like mid-range here. 121 attack, 107 defense, 141 stamina. So you can take a charge move for sure with that 141 stamina. Depending what it is, but you should be able to take a move. But 121 attack and these 85 and 66 will not obviously take out anything. But given the speed of these, right? Straight 8s for double Iron Bash, 10 and 8 for superpower. This seems like a superpower Bale type lead Pokemon that you can really cause a lot of problems with. So yeah, Melmetal could be interesting. Drifblim, Aurorus. So Sandslash seems down a bit. Shadow Claw, interesting as the number 1 recommended move on Sandslash. For the most part, the recommended moveset on Sandslash had been Powder Snow, because there had been so much ground in this meta that you could just hit super effective with the Powder Snow. Now, maybe with like Golisopod highly ranked, now you got your Samurotts up there as a water Pokemon. Suddenly your ice resisted on the ice being resisted on the water Pokemon. and maybe less ground, and at the same time, maybe more steals. A lot of these bugs are bug steel, so the steel resists ice. So Shadow Claw back on the menu for Sandslash, which is always annoying when they do this, because you have to you either have to have 2 Pokemon, or you need to continue to Elite TM away these fast moves, because Shadow Claw is a legacy move. There's your Ninetales up at 82. Again, I expected more fire given how many bugs are, and look at 2 other things that kind of jumped up. Vic non-Shadow, Victreebel, and Lurantis with Fury Cutter. So 2 more grass Pokemon means fire has some play here. Drapion down to 89. I still think Drapion's going to be super strong. Again, Drapion was ranked like 60 something last season, because this is the even 1 shield, even energy scenario. You never play Drapion like that. So Drapion will still be a fine safe swap, if anything. Especially that, actually you're neutral to bug because you are half, yeah, this is why it's 1 here. You only have 1 real weakness in ground here. These are all neutralized. I still think Drapion's going to have a ton of play. Yes, Crunch got nerfed because you won't be potentially lowering their defense as much, but the spam on the Crunch, and this Crunch is still 100 damage, whether you get to lower their attack or not, or defense or not. Still 100 damage at 10. I don't expect Drapion to go anywhere, quite honestly. Wiggly down at 92. I think the Charmers are gonna be a little less, because you have a lot more steel. So there is that. Still running. I was interested with Lickitung, because it does have Wrap now, and Wrap has a 100% chance of lowering your opponent's defense. So I thought maybe instead of Body Slam that got nerfed, you run Wrap and lower your opponent's defense, and then just Lick. But Lick is only 3 damage, so it's not like you're doing a ton more. There's a couple more fires at 97 and 101 here. So yeah, I expect some more fires. So there's your hundreds. Just seeing if there's anything in like the 100 plus range that I was like, oh, I'm surprised that's so high or low. Toxicroak with Poison Sting. Again, as a Shadow, I said this is one where spamming the dynamic punches at 10 is very, very hard hitting on Shadow Toxicroak. So it could be a fun like shield advantage. I think Toxicroak Shadow is probably underranked because of how, again, even energy, even shield scenario. If you played Shadow Toxicroak with a shield advantage, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this. Guzzlord, yeah, huge fall because of the dark. Tentacruel at 118 with Acid. Scald to 4th, yeah, Scald and Sludge Wave. I think Tentacruel will have more play in Ultra League, quite honestly. Blastoise, Shadow down to 122 here. And then sort of whatever Pokemon down here. Nothing that we'll talk about right now. Dugong down to 140. Interesting. So definitely some falls here. But yeah, definitely looking like a new meta. We'll have to see how it goes. And again, I'll do after the first week, like on the Monday before we league turnover, I'll do like a 1 week analysis. Expect people to come bug heavy early, and expect people to come bug resisted early. So or bug super effective early. So I could see a lot of bugs early. I can see a lot of ghosts early to resist the bug, and I can see a lot of fire and rock to try to beat the bugs early. And then I think people will also just go back to Pokemon that are just generally safe against everything that I just kind of mentioned. Your Clodsires, your Samurotts now is the main water Pokemon. But it has Fairy Cutter if you don't want to do that. Your Feraligatr or Lapras down at 14 and 20 here, or wherever Feraligatr is, 28. Still probably have a lot of play. And then all these other Pokemon, Jumpluff, Diggersby, maybe Steelix a bit. But these Pokemon that were Tinkaton, Toxapex, Annihilate, Azumarill, these Pokemon that were still good previous seasons, you should still see a healthy dose of this season as well. But that's my just quick-ish. This is why it's 40 minutes here, and then I didn't want to add on 20 minutes of teams afterwards, right? So let me know what you think about this meta. What are you excited to use? If you look at these rankings, everything overranked or underranked? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.